Welcome. Finally, yes, I finally started this podcast. It's going to be called Dames and Tea with Janika. Every single Tuesday, I'm going to drop something. Every single Tuesday, I'm going to drop something. It's going to be the theme Tea Time Tuesday, Dames and Tea with Janika. I wanted to start mine off with teens because we always look into what's going on in the world with celebrities, with older people. Teens deals with issues that we think that they shouldn't be dealing with or not necessarily should have a care in the world about. So today my host is my niece,
Kiori,
and she is
13.
So that's a good age. So as a 13-year-old, what challenges you think you face as being a little piece of hair in your face, girl. What challenges do you think you face as being a teenager right now?
Probably comparisons with other people and like more of like drama. I feel like
drama as far as
just like regular school girl drama, which you have to decide to stay out of, and then social media as far as comparing yourself to others, stuff like that.
So you find that you find yourself comparing yourself to other people?
I feel like I used to find myself doing that. But then I noticed, then I started like getting more into focusing on guys. Then I noticed that I'm not gonna look like everybody else. But I feel like it's because when that's the only thing you see is adults or girls older than you think, oh, I need to look like that. Then you see how it takes up basically the standards for the beauty standards that people try to put out there. Yeah.
But I think you're beautiful.
Yeah.
I know it's hard. In my era, it's different because we didn't have the social media thing back in the day. So what we saw was on TV. I was a skinny girl, but I never I'm glad I never was the type that compared myself. And there's nothing wrong with people that do, because you see it so much and you feel like that is something that you have to emulate, and that's not always the case. You know, you don't have to fit in with everybody. You know, everybody has their own thing where they should stand out opposed to fit in. You know, so.
And it's better to stand out.
Exactly.
Because why would everybody want to look like each other?
Right. So do you find yourself, I know this is the era of bullying as well with social media and being in school and not being with the in crowd or the out crowd or whatever you consider yourself. Do you find you've been bullied before?
I feel like I've always been in the in crowd, you should say. I feel like that was bad for me because it was a toxic environment. People think, nobody calls it popular anymore, but basically is, I don't know, you don't call it that, but
well, we called it.
Yeah, we said popular in like elementary school, but now it's like, now it's not really titles anymore. So it's like, but you already know what it is and what it isn't. So it's like, I was always in that type of group, so I had problems within the group because it was such a big group, so much toxic people arguing over petty stuff. And I feel like more of last year, I went through problems with girls. But the one thing, I didn't let myself get bullied. I always said something because that's just the type of person I am. I'm not going to let you walk over me or talk to me in a disrespectful way. That's why I feel like I wouldn't call it bullying. I would call it people messing with me. But I would always defend myself because how I grew up and how much respect I have for myself.
So being a teen, do you think you're vocal or more of the quiet?
For me, I feel like it really comes to who I'm around. I'm quiet at school most of the time, but if I'm around my friends, of course I'm going to talk, but I'm not really that loud. Like most girls at school are loud, chaotic. I don't really like all that. I just like to sit there, say to myself, if I'm spoken to, I will speak.
Okay, we're gonna go boys. So, are you into boys, or do you have a boyfriend?
I don't have a boyfriend per se. I have a crush.
A crush.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know me as your aunt, your Tita. I feel like maybe 21 you can date. Just because 21. I say 21. But ideally, what age do you think you should be able to date?
I feel like 13 is where you're getting to learn who you like. So it's not really a dating era. If you feel like, you do feel like you're ready for a relationship, because some girls aren't ready for a relationship. They just want to get in a relationship because they see other girls do it. me, I feel like I'm ready, but I'm just starting like to look into it, because I feel like it's puppy love. Until you feel like it's serious, it's puppy love.
Okay.
But if I had a child, I would let her like talk to boys. I feel like at like 13, 12.
Until you become a parent. You say that until you actually become a parent. See, I have 2 boys, so I don't have girls. So it's, people can say whatever they want, but it's the difference between raising a girl and raising a boy. Boys are more. I feel like if I had girls, I was protective of my boys, but how society is now, just with this social media, you have to be very careful, because a lot of people meet people on social media and thinking that they're your age, and they're actually not your age. And a lot of young teens been kidnapped and going to meet people. So that's why your parents always censor and try to filter out your social media and look at your social media to protect you. Exactly. And if you look at it from a protection standpoint, don't always look at it like my parent is mean and she don't want to let me, or he don't want to let me do anything, because it's a lot of pedophiles out here that's preying on young teenagers, you know, to get them and do whatever they want with them. And sometimes they don't return home. So we don't want you to be a part, you of any teen if that matters, part of that statistic of that happening to you.
With that, since often girls my age or like girls older than me, we have a lot to say about that, I feel like. So it's like at this age, I get it. I feel like now, even though I'm young, I still understand why my parents censor me from certain stuff. Not because they wanted my life to be boring, but because of safety reasons. But also, say when I was like 12, even though that was younger, I didn't understand it at the time. I wanted to go places, I wanted to have fun. I couldn't really go places by myself. My parents had to come with me. And I always feel like, why do they have to come with me? Like, why can't they just drop me off and I'll be there? It was for my safety. I feel like now I understand. Now that I'm 13, my parents will drop me off and they'll let me go somewhere, but have my phone on, of course. Make sure to look at my calls and be with a group of people. It can't just be me, like, by myself or something. They won't drop me off.
I mean, you have to accept that transparency, because again, things happen. Again, that's why you have to I want you to be totally honest, but I know how teens are. They're not totally honest, but a lot of times kids do get dropped off at the mall. And they get dropped off the mall saying that they're going to hang with their friends and walk around the stores, but in all reality, they go to meet somebody. And if you leave out the mall where your parents drop you off at, when they come back, they're looking for you to be there. And the minute that you then ventured off and left the mall, something like, happened. Exactly. And that's the chance that you may never see them again. So you always want to try to be honest and don't leave with people, even though you think you know them. But you really want to be very careful, because Amber Alerts goes out all the time. My phone goes off. Exactly. So you really want to be careful with that.
For me, I feel like it's based on you and your child's relationship. At a point, me and my parents didn't have like a trust because I wanted social media. My parents didn't let me have social media, and I never understood that, because all the kids my age had social media. But whenever I turned 12, they let me start having social media. But the only reason they let me have it was because I wasn't sneaking to get it anymore. They understood why I wanted it. They understood it wasn't for any bad reasons. I snuck and got it at like 10, 9, because I thought it was nothing wrong with it. They were just over exaggerating. And actually they were protecting me from, like you said, meeting people online, stuff like that. But also it goes on your relationship with your parents. I feel like parents, yes, they want to be protective, but they can't protect you all your life. Like, one day they're gonna have to realize, hey, it's time to let her do some things on her own. And so as far as the social media, when they let me have that, my dad started with TikTok. He was like, you could have it. Then eventually he was like, you could have Instagram. Like, it was just a cause and effect, like dominoes kind of.
Question about having social media, these spam pages. Spam pages, they allow you have Kiori page, but then y'all turn around and offset it and have a spam page with nobody gonna know that you're on that spam page, and then you're allowing other people to follow you that isn't your age. You think they are, because they're posting pictures of, I'm this young little boy that's 12, 13, 14, 15 years old.
Pictures in all reality, Pinterest, Google.
In all reality, that's not that. And that, I feel like with those pages that y'all create, that also tends to get y'all in trouble as well. So, do you have a spam page?
No, I do not. Because
did you have a spam page?
No, I never, because I don't. My thing is,
and I just learned it's called a spam page. I just learned this. I didn't.
Well, you don't have to say for all the parents.
Yes, all parents. I need y'all to know that your kids be having spam pages, even if they're being truthful or not. No. They have names that elemental P, not none of them are pertaining to their names, so you can't find them. So please, parents, be very careful. You letting your child have an Instagram, but 9 times, I'm gonna say 7 out of 10, they have another page that you're not on, that they're doing unethical things on.
Spam pages, there's two people. Like spam pages is like some people post TikToks on there. I don't like, you know what TikTok is, right? Like they, you know, the motivational TikToks and stuff. They save it and they post it on their account and they spam their page. Like there's like a lot of stuff that's spam, because you don't want to do that on your main story, because then people are like, why do you keep posting da da da? So you make a spam page for your friends. That's why I feel like for people it's private. That's why it's private, because you're not trying to let everybody in there. You're trying to let your friends in that you know won't be bothered about having all of those things posted on your story. Like people post TikToks, quotes, and sometimes people use spam pages as a way to talk about their emotions. It's nothing wrong with posting about how you feel or you crying, but I wouldn't do that.
I do think that's just me personally. I think it's overrated.
I think you don't need to you may be going through something, but talk about that privately to people you trust. You don't need to let everybody know, oh, I cried. But if you do that,
not to cut you off, then people say something about it and you're like, people in my business. You're putting people in your business when you putting your emotions out or saying that I'm going through ABC. Me personally, I post a lot, but it's not necessarily something I'm going through. Like I may find a quote that I find that could be inspirational to somebody else, and it's not actually me going through whatever that may be. I'm not saying at all my life is perfect, because it's not, but I don't run to social media to let the world know what's going on in my personal life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, some people go on social media to validate their emotions, so their emotions could be validated. But me, it's like, I don't really like social media as it is, because like I said, so many things could happen that's bad and stuff that like comes from social media. Whenever I was going through stuff at like school and stuff, arguments, if they didn't have my number, they would find a way to text me from social media. And it's like, obviously you don't have my number for that exact reason. I don't want to be a part of it. So I feel like once I cut those people off, the social media got less toxic.
What emotions you feel like teens suffer with or need help with the most?
I feel like people say depression, which I feel like there's a difference between depression and you're sad. My parents thought I should have a therapist was because like I was going through stuff that I didn't really want to tell them, that I would rather tell somebody else, which it sounds weird, like, oh, why can't you tell your family? I don't know. Sometimes I didn't want my mom to be sad on certain things. So the therapist I had, she didn't really listen. She just agreed with what I said and just ignored it. I feel like she didn't. I understand that after sessions and sessions, you figure out how to solve those problems. But she didn't really listen. She heard me and was like, oh, okay. And then tried to talk about something. Like,
do you still think you need a therapist?
It's that support. Say if I'm falling off a track with my goals, I'm starting to give up, I need somebody to help me go back on track.
You probably didn't know this. I had to see a therapist before because I went through a time in my life and people hear therapist or a psychologist like, no, sometimes you need that person to help you figure out what are you going through to get you past whatever you're going through. And
I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's not always because like, oh, you're sad. Sometimes it's like you just need that person
that's outside of everything. Friends. Exactly. That's outside of they don't have an opinion because they already know some things. I'm going to a person that freshly don't know anything about my situation, don't know anything about me, and I was able to get a lot of stuff out and I got a lot of stuff accomplished. And I'm all for seeing a therapist to get whatever you need out, and hopefully it helped me, so hopefully you're able to get back in it in order to get you some help. For whatever situation it may be. Now, it might not be nothing sad. Maybe you need to talk your way through something and you can't find somebody to do that with, and the therapist could possibly be that person. But,
like you said when you were talking about, like, you need somebody outside of that inner circle because they already know stuff. Like, for me, I went through a situation where I told this one girl who I thought was my friend everything. Like, she knew everything. And even about why I went to therapy, which is like a more personal reason of why I went. And when we wasn't even we didn't stop being friends. Her friends didn't like me, so she didn't want to be friends with me. So after all of that, after all the times I was there for her also, she went and told everybody about what I went through. I didn't understand why would you tell somebody that. That's really not their business. Mm-hmm. And regardless of how much I knew about her, I still didn't tell nobody. Because I wouldn't do nobody like that.
Right.
But I feel like that's another reason why sometimes a therapist is better at certain times, because you will go to your friend or somebody who you think is your friend, and they will simply, because of a small situation, tell somebody your whole life story.
And that's sometimes people trying to be in the in crowd to have something to talk about. So that's why you can't always confide in people you think you're friends. And it doesn't matter if you just met them yesterday or if you met them 10 years ago. Sometimes the effect can still be the same. Mm. Okay, we're gonna leave on a positive note. I wanna teens go through a lot, you guys, and this is not gonna be our first session with a teen. We're gonna have her back again. I really believe that this can be informative for some people. I mean, teens go through things. Basically. Awareness
for parents also.
Exactly. So
because understand.
Because parents what?
May not understand sometimes.
So us as parents, I mean, my kids are older now, but the new parents that has teens, I think you need to be more vocal with your kids. I think you need to talk to them more. I was very vocal with my boys and talking to them about real life situations, but I honestly was not like, you have a choice. Like, it was, this is my way or no way. That's how I parent. Mm-hmm. That's how I kind of was parenting. But as I learned, and I have a grandson coming up, you have to let them be in touch with their emotions as well, and don't be like, shut up, get over it. No, because they deal with real emotions as well. So I'm learning that more having a grandson than I did with my own boys, because I felt like they had to be boys. I had to make them tough. And all the time, toughness is not what the kids actually need. They need to have loved on. And I loved on them, but I also didn't let them be in touch with their emotions, because I felt like they was boys and they needed. Exactly.
I feel like for me, boys doesn't always have to be tough or have a certain standard, because they have emotions too. And for a long time, I didn't know boys had emotions. Like, I thought they were just like.
But that's how I raised them. And if I'm doing something different with my grandson, like letting him be in touch with his emotions now, because you didn't have emotions.
Because his emotions doesn't really have to be sad. Like, he's sweet, like caring.
Yeah. Like that. So it's tough conversations that we have to have with our teenagers. And in my case, I have nieces. So tough conversations that they may feel comfortable talking with me and they can't talk to their mom. And I'm always open and here for them, always. We're going to have more talks about it. This is just our first time Tea Time Tuesday. It's going to drop every Tuesday. We'll be dropping something.
It's not always going to be this, like, not sad, but like.
It's not sad. It's informative. It's informative.
Because it's not always going to be like this, though. It's going to be like uplifting stuff.
Nobody don't talk to the teens. Everybody want to talk about everything else.
Adults,
mental health. Teens has mental health issues as well. Young teen has mental health that's turned into young adults to turn into adults with mental health issues. So you have to catch the young kids while they're young, or teenagers, when they're really going through things that they feel like they're going through, and it can be helpful to them. And get your child therapy and get them the help that they need early on, so it won't turn into an adult problem when you can solve it at a younger age problem.
And that's where it starts. That we are the new black generation, so it starts with us. So
I want to thank everyone for tuning in to Dames and Tea with Jernika, dropping every Tuesday. Tea Time Tuesday, Dames and Tea with Jernika. On a positive note, what you want to say positive?
Have a good day. Also,
I want to say positive is, don't try to fit in when you're meant to stand out. That's from Shades of Melanin. Until next time, we out.